dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. Yes, sir. It's your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. Got a great show for you this evening. How do I know? Because I said so, and we typically do. We're going to be talking about, can two parties live in a household? And this question kind of came about just based upon what's going on in today's society with the the nomination of Kamala Harris, as well as going against Donald Trump, and the different parties have their particular stances. And it seems to have caused some divide within, and from my perspective, either the genders or the races or the races, or even in the religious realm. So I'm interested to see what the panel has to say about this particular topic. Make sure you share, like, and also subscribe to the channel, and comment in the chat. This is going to be a real good one, I think so. All right. So the first question that we got is, what's your favorite restaurant? Let's see how many hood people we got and how many bougie people we got. And we're going to start up with Mr. Robert.
Yo, what's going on, man? It's RJ, man. I'm glad to be here. Good to see you again, Humble Dad. My favorite restaurant is the Lord's Mill Chick-fil-A. The Lord's Mill Chick-fil-A. I shall have Chick-fil-A. Yeah, I'm going to get a number one with cheese, large waffle, fries, side of macaroni and cheese, Doc. Just how I like it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to let it. So large you just lemonade. Be struggling on Sundays.
Large lemonade, Doc. Large lemonade.
Okay. Let's get your homie up and see what they say. Welcome to the stage, Miss Renee in the building.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming back.
My favorite restaurant is Cheddar's. Okay. I'm going to get a bourbon glazed salmon, broccoli rice cheese casserole, loaded mashed potatoes, and a Maui margarita and a water.
And a water. So which one you ordering first?
The Maui. The Maui and the Maui and the water come at the same time. Oh, and I got to get a spinach dip.
And the spinach dip?
Oh.
Are you eating by yourself?
If I'm eating by myself, if I'm with my family, if I'm on a date, that's my meal.
That's what's up. Appreciate you. And welcome to the stage, none other than Mr. Prototype.
Hey, I seen the hate, Rob. Oh, don't.
I did. I was like, what? I did. I ain't gonna lie.
No, I'm definitely one of the bougier eaters. I don't really have a favorite restaurant, but I'm definitely good for spending at least $150 on a meal. So, yes.
For yourself?
Yeah.
That's what's up. So, what's a restaurant out there that you like? Hey, this is probably where we gonna go this week.
Shoot. On a Wednesday, I'll go to Stony River. I don't know if y'all know what Stony River is, but like on a regular day, like I'm bored, I'm hungry, I'll go to Stony River. You know what I'm saying? Or we have an Ethiopian restaurant out here called Desta. That's real good. But
what's on the plate?
Lamb and salmon and some steak. So
yeah, lamb is right, bro.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm bougie as heck when it comes to food, man. Like I shave no expense.
All right, that's what's up. I don't think we gonna limit that to food though, but okay, here we go. Welcome to the stage, none other than Lost in Translation.
Yeah, got these premium claps, man. What's happening?
That's what's up. What you
What's
got
going on, Humble Dad? How you doing,
I'm good.
sir?
I'm good, bro. This was my birthday weekend, so yesterday was
Good.
I celebrated 46 on the
Well, happy
planet.
birthday, brother. Happy
Appreciate
birthday.
that.
Happy birthday.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, let me tell you, my favorite restaurant, man, is Pizza Hut. You know, when I was a kid, we used to have to save up, man, from reading books, and we used to have to save up to get that personal pan pizza. And as soon as I got that little personal pan pizza, I was in love, man. It was all mine by myself. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had to share it with nobody. And it was crusty and it was cheesy all on the outside. You know what I'm saying? That's what I like. So I've been hooked ever since, man. So Pizza Hut is my favorite restaurant.
That's what's up. So you was upset at the school cafeteria pizza then?
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I'm still going to eat it, though.
Oh, okay.
You know, that square pizza is still good now.
Real talk, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, and none other than when she run for president, we all voting. It's me, Jamie, in the building.
What's up, y'all? I missed y'all last week, to be honest. Like, you know, I thought about you, prayed for y'all, felt some type of way that I wasn't on there.
Yeah,
And
you
then
missed
I
a
realized-
really good show.
I know, I watched it.
Oh,
I did. Yeah, I did. I watched it.
yeah, for sure.
My favorite restaurant is the Olive Garden. Like, I'm so glad that nobody said it too, because you got the breadsticks and the Alfredo sauce. You feel me? I'm just saying, and that good. I like.
So all
I
things
like
free.
when Prototype shakes his head when I be talking like he want to fight. You see what I'm saying? Like we hadn't. I even started. You don't
So
like
that's like the free stuff. Yeah, why you don't like Olive Garden Prototype?
It's disgusting. Like,
Yeah.
Olive
Y'all think it's
Garden.
disgusting?
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Oh,
god.
y'all-
Ravioli in a can is better than Olive Garden.
Yeah, that's disgusting, man. Like
The worst.
Applebee's is better than
worst.
Olive Garden. Like Olive Garden, that's
I
Olive
think I'm
Garden.
offended.
Listen, Jamie, it's your favorite. Not
It's my
Lasagna in a bag,
That's,
really?
and that's all that
right.
matters. Because I get a good glass of Riscato, and I be minding my
Oh, you be
business.
drunk.
Everything tastes good when you're a little tipsy, huh?
You know what I noticed? You know how I noticed I was bougie when I went to Applebee's and realized the drinks was only like $5. Like, wait, what? I'm used
that's
to paying
when
like
you really.
yeah, like one day out of the blue, I'm like, you know, I'm trying to hurry up and feed the kids after practice or whatever. And we're like, there's Applebee's right there. I ain't been to Applebee's in years. Let me stop.
Yeah.
And when it was like, I was looking at the drink price, and it was like, oh yeah, $5. $5 for this drink? I'm used to paying $25. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. Yeah.
Say on Wednesday nights it's like dollar margaritas.
And they are trash.
That may be true.
Thank you, Renee. I appreciate that. I like how you threw that in there. So,
Don't
may
even
be
waste your time. Don't even waste your time.
Oh man, I think and for me, my favorite restaurant that comes to mind is BJ's. I like BJ's has this pizza that I really enjoy. I get the it's what fire brick oven pizza. So I get the chicken and the and spinach and jalapenos. That's what I put on my pizza. So it'd be pretty dope. And then they had this chicken sandwich that is really good as well. But I typically go for the pizza. So everybody got their thing. Who was the most bougie we see? It was Prototype.
Prototype.
And then the
Said
most
150.
ghetto was what?
Lost with that Pizza Hut. That slavery
personal
food.
pizza.
That's prison food. Prison pizza tastes better than Pizza Hut.
He said he okay with it.
You been to prison, Mr. Robert?
Listen,
Nah, but I got
If
friends.
that's-
So how you know?
listen,
I
if
got
that's
friends,
prison
man.
food,
Come
lock
on,
me
man.
up,
We took a
man.
field
Lock
trip. We
me
took a field
up.
We took a field trip, man. We took a field
You took a
trip.
field trip?
Yeah. It was
Anytime
that
you
what was
pizza,
that,
like-
Scared Straight. Yeah.
Oh
Took a little field
yeah,
trip. man.
yeah. That's hilarious,
Yes.
No, that prison food will have you fasting, boy.
You been to prison too, Proto?
I mean, I walked through, you know what I'm saying, for a couple of days, and I didn't eat not a thing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I
Oh, because
fasted.
they didn't have $150 menu.
Listen. I didn't eat anything that they served for 3 days. It was
Proto
a straight
said-
Jesus fast.
Proto
Water.
said $1,000 go a long way. $1,000
Like you
bond
voluntarily fasted without a choice.
It wasn't even close. As soon as I looked at what they were, I'm not eating that. No. Guess I won't be eating until I get out of here.
That probably changed your mind on your behavior.
My dude.
It worked. He was scared straight.
$1,000 bond go a long way.
Wait, let's get it started. Hey, we gonna keep it simple. What is equally yoked? What does that mean? What does equally yoked mean? Give you all some think time. See what y'all are talking about. You know, if you need to get your dictionary, that's fine too. Take you some notes. Because it says that in the Bible that you should be equally yoked. But even if you was not using the Bible, it would make sense for you two to be on the same page in some regard, right? So let's talk about it. What is equally yoked? We'll start with you, Lost.
Equally yoked mean that you have two people who are like-minded. They're going in the same direction with the same purpose. I think that's exactly what equally yoked is. Now, we may not always be equally equipped, which is okay because we'll be able to, complement each other. But as far as being equally yoked, I think as long as you're going in the same direction, you're equally of the same mindset going in the same direction. I think that's the very basis of being equally yoked.
That's a bet. Who you got going next?
I'm going to go with Miss Renee today.
Renee today. Let's go.
Well, I agree with Loss. I do believe equally yoked mean y'all have to have the same base level of understanding on what y'all want together, and then getting there may be thought about differently, but ultimately y'all have the same end goal in mind. So the foundation must be like-minded. So that's my interpretation of equally yoked. Mr. Robert, it's on you.
Thank you, Miss Renee. I appreciate that. Equally yoked. So you got like-minded, Renee and Lost Translation said. But I think, going in the same direction, like-minded, but it's also about going the same speed. I think you got to be in step. You see what I'm saying? Because we could be like-minded, we could have the same thought, but if our trajectory ain't the same and I get there before you, or you get there before me, one of us now look like a liability. And one of us look like dead weight. And if we don't have the maturity, if I don't have the grace to carry you, if I'm not assigned to carry you, right? Or you're not assigned to carry me, even in having the right thought, if we don't have the right speed, it's easy to say delay is not denial, but I don't think anybody in 2024 wants to be held back. You know what I mean? And I think in 2024, we suffer from a thing called patience. And so I think trajectory has to be involved with being like-minded and going in the same direction. Just adding to what they said. Jamie, let's go.
Okay, so I think I'm going to add to what you said. Like you said, with speed, but when you look at a yoke, right, especially when it comes to animals, it was two animals yoked with this thing. And that means they would have to be same height, a little bit shoulder width. We'd be able to carry the burden the same. At least we'll be able to carry the burden. So what you said, Robert, was we have to be at the same speed if we're carrying this burden the same. I can't go too ahead of you and you can't go too ahead of me, or we're going to be off. You feel me? So yeah, equally yoked. It still has to be a standard core values, and we have to be going at the same trajectory in the same direction. So that's prototype.
I would add on to everything y'all said was great. I would add on top of that complementing skill sets. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm strong this way and you're strong that way, completely together, we make a complete package. You know what I'm saying? So I would say complementing skill sets. I'm good at what I'm good at and you're good at what you're good at, and together we make a complete company. So that's what I would add on top of everything y'all already said.
That's dope, man. I was gonna say that, but to put it, I guess metaphorically, you're familiar with math. Y'all familiar with the complementary angles?
Yes.
Yeah.
For those that are not sure, complementary angles is a 90-degree angle, right? And if you have two complementary angles, then and you put them together, then that'll make a square or a rectangle, so to speak, right? So I would say to add on to what you all are saying, that equally yoked is where I may be weak, you're strong, but we're all in alignment in where we want to go, right? So for example, I may be strong in finances and she may not be, but she has the heart and the desire to have financial wisdom, right? I may be weak at cooking, but I'm willing to cook, and I just don't know how, but she's really good at it, and she can help me and teach me how to do that, right? So that is a part of being equally yoked, and it's not necessarily always that you're going to agree, right? That's the part that comes into play. And so, did anybody want to add to their answer? I
just one word I'd add is that everybody said same mind, same thought process, same speed, complementary, and it has to be at the same time. Like I can't in a space of maturity and you're not, vice versa. You know what I mean? It just, if we're trying to buy a home together, we both got to be willing to save, make sacrifices and stuff like that. You got to do it at the same time. I think time is the biggest key to being with someone or being like-minded with someone. Like, are we doing it at the same time? That's all.
Okay. So with that in mind, right, my thought process was to kind of give an idea of conservative values versus liberal values, and then how is it possible to be in relationship with each other if possible. I don't know. This is just a question that I was thinking about. But before we get into that, I just want to know, how would you describe professionally what are liberal views or values? What are liberal views or values? All right. I'll give you a moment to think about it because I had to think about it myself. What are liberal views or what are liberal values? Because these are the terminologies that they use in this space, right? And it's very possible to be in between those two. But this is what it is that's been given to us, is that we have the liberal views and then we have conservative views. And some people may say progressive, okay? So we'll work it like that. What's up, Dwayne?
What it do?
Hey, bro, did you lose your glasses last week?
Did I lose my glasses? I did, yeah.
Okay, because you have them on, so I was just asking.
No, I was wondering what I always lose them. Okay.
Oh, okay. Hey, we're gonna start you with this question, bro. What are liberal views, or what does that mean, or what does that look like?
Think about, I would say Christian virtues and flip it on its head and make it like humanist virtues. So you can do what you want, love who you want. And whenever I'm talking about love, it's not like, in the Bible where it's talking about brotherly love. I'm talking about like you damn near make love to whoever you want. See, I like that, Robert. I like that. You're going to need a neck brace switching that neck like that so quick. But yeah, as for like even one of their main issues now is like the whole LGBTQ. So that as for that's typically like as for their views now. So I'll go with that. Take the Christian virtues, flip it on its head, and then add humanistic virtues.
Gotcha. Who you got next?
Jamie, what it do?
I'm gonna go the safe route. And I'm going to say what the dictionary said. Dictionary said, you ready? Y'all ready? It says liberal, willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own, open to new ideals. And I'm going to add that that's a lie. Because if you don't believe the way that a liberal believes, then you're the enemy. And so it's like they're not accepting of like a conservative value. We're wrong for having a standard. And so, yeah, like I'm just going to go ahead and go with Dwayne, because now they're trying to add P to the alphabet community, and that's for pedophiles. Like, no, it's minor attracted persons is what they want to call it. And so they're saying, how can you tell an older person that they can't love a child or want to be with a child? That's where we're at right now. That's on the shopping block right now. MAP, minor attracted person. So Dwayne, see, that's why you said it, Jamie, because you knew I was gonna say something, huh? Right.
What happened to the political correct? Like you went to the dictionary and did. Listen, I'm not tripping. I just didn't see it coming. That's
a bogus definition. I didn't read the definition before I started saying it, so I read it like with y'all, and then I listened to what I said, and that sounds stupid.
So you reacted to your own reaction. I got you.
Yeah, that was good.
That's what.
Yeah, it was.
Who you got going next?
Renee. I'm gonna have Renee go.
Whew. The nicest thing that I can say is that they are, I'm gonna say, selfish. They believe they should be able to do whatever they want to do, like whatever is beneficial for them. Like that's the nicest answer that I can come up with.
Okay, I didn't know that's where you was going. Okay, who you got going next?
Lost in translation. Let's go.
And you delayed a little bit, Renee.
Thank you, Renee. The term liberal is one of those things that's you have to take a look at it as if it's a building material. Being a liberal is like being squishy. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever floats your boat today. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things that you can't really build a foundation on something that's squishy. Now, at the same time, being a liberal, in certain cases, you want to be accepting of somebody else's, situation, but at the same time, you can't tell other people, what to believe in. As it was said in Joshua 24:15, as for me and my house, you know what I'm saying? We shall serve the Lord. And whatever he said, that's what goes for us. Now, whatever you decide you want to do, that's on you, but you can't tell me, how I should address you. You know what I'm saying? You can't tell me how I should believe, you know what I mean? And there's strength in solidness and foundation. So I think being liberal is I would use that term as being squishy and malformed, you know what I'm saying? And something that's not definite, more of an amoeba, so to speak. And I'm gonna go with prototype.
Why y'all hate liberals?
It's not hate. It's not hate. It's more of a spotlight.
You just asked the question, man.
Prototype liberal, y'all. Prototype liberal.
He say, "Why y'all hate me?"
It's not me.
Man. You the problem.
I'm not.
You, man. You're liberal.
I'm not liberal.
Listen, this is 2 weeks in a row that this laugh, bro.
I'm just trying to figure out why y'all hate liberals.
Hey, you get an answer and then you can ask that question because that's a good question.
I mean, what are liberal views? I mean, for me, I would say liberal views are they want everybody to be able to do what they want. You know what I'm saying? So whatever they feel people want to do, they should be free to do such things. So that's what I would think a liberal views is. Or the detail y'all went in, y'all hate them. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't hate anybody. It's just sheesh. You know what I'm saying?
Defend yourself, prototype. Defend yourself.
Look, I don't gotta defend myself for something I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not liberal or conservative.
Yeah,
but,
he said that before. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just I can tell you I don't like them. So
Y'all didn't turn prototype into podcast Santa Claus. He's over there laughing like he had a bowl full of jelly. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all be wild. Y'all been wild since we began in politics. You know what I'm saying? So HD is on you.
Hey, let's go, Robert.
I think them little bad kids you see at Walmart on the little leashes. You know what I'm talking about? Them little bad kids that touch everything. Liberal. Them kids that go to school and don't mind their manners and always talking back to the teacher. Liberal. You know these kids that's outside past the street lights. Liberal. You know what I'm talking about? Liberal. You know, so I just think, man, they rebellious, they unruly, they don't have no home training, they was left to themselves, they need a beating. Liberal. Get you some liberal rules, man. These kids is bad. I think, man, liberal, man, yeah, man, it's like no stream of consciousness as it pertains to like having rules. It's the opposite of rules. And it's like your own interpretation of rules. Like being at 9 and like you type, if you liberal to be like, you mean 9 Eastern or 9 on the West Coast? You know what I'm saying? Like you always trying to stretch a rule, man. You know, sit your liberal butt down before I beat you. All right, I'm done. Go ahead, Humble Dad.
That's interesting. Prototype said y'all hate liberals, but then he says he does too. Is that what you said?
No,
Look,
I
he's on the
just said
football
that.
team.
I don't hate liberals. I don't.
Oh yeah, that's right. You said you don't hate anybody.
No, I don't hate liberals or conservatives.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
neither. You know what I'm saying? But
That's
y'all are assigning bad traits to people that don't got nothing to do with them being liberal.
That's interesting. We gonna. I like the. Okay, so you're saying that the things that they assign to the liberals, you don't see. Is that fair to say?
I would say that for sure. Because some people don't even. He's talking about kids that's outside in street lights. They're not political at all.
I'm talking about them kids that be blowing up stuff at schools and stuff. They ain't got no home training and think they could take
talking about the rules.
They mad. Liberal.
They not liberal.
Yes.
They don't even know what that is.
He's talking about the kids. He
talking
Prototype
about
saying
kids.
those kids that you're liking them to would not necessarily be able to do that. And what Robert is saying is that he's liking them to the kids that have to be on the leash but are upset about being on a leash, and they're still wilding out even though they're on that leash. That's what he said. He said they don't really apply to. They don't think the rules apply to them.
This gonna get me canceled, Humble Dad.
Well, you're on my show. I don't know how they're gonna cancel you.
I'm gonna get canceled for this. But if you under the age of 18 and you think you can determine your sexuality, you will like that's crazy. You gotta stop doing that. And us as parents, we need to. You don't get a choice. You was born with the genitalia. You don't know. You don't get to explore. You are what you were born as. Liberal self. Sit your liberal self down. I'm done.
What do a street light kid and the gender conversation have to do with each other?
Because it's like, go ahead, Dwayne.
Keep chiming, Robert. Go ahead.
I mean, because it's like they liberal comes from the Greek word liberty. You know what I'm saying? And like they think that I get you curiosity, right? But then there's a line where curiosity just goes against, I don't want to say humane, because that's a whole nother conversation, but it just goes against what was defined in the beginning as right and wrong. And it's like you've taken the liberty to say, let me try and see if this even works. And you've kind of found a way to finagle it to work. And now in your mind, that's the new normal. That ain't new normal. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. When it comes to last thing I'll say, when it comes to being liberal, I think that's a learned or an acquired behavior in the absence of rules. That's all I'm saying. In any capacity. All right. I was, whatever. We talked about the bad kids, but I mean, like, you grow up like that. The Bible's clear. A child left to themselves to bring their parents to hope and shame. Like, that's Bible. You know what I mean? And so you've justified wrongdoings and it makes sense in your head, but you are the only people, you are the only person that it makes sense to. Because anybody with rules and home training looking at you like, bro, pull your pants up. You know what I mean? Stop sagging. You know what I mean? Stop cussing in front of grown folk. You know what I'm saying? You don't, just because you got a mouth don't mean you get to do what you want, say what you want, how you want. You still need to say yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no. You know what I'm saying? Hold the door for old people. You know what I'm saying? We're not on the same level. When you don't have a consciousness of where you are in the trajectory of people, like if you don't realize you're 18 and this person's 60 and you probably should let them sit in the chair, like, you know what I'm saying? When you think you're on the same level, you think, that's liberal, not conservative, no rules, no boundaries.
So transition into that, then what are conservative values? Robert, who you got going next? What are conservative?
The conservative values is the 10 Commandments. Go, Jamie.
Well, you took it. I just was gonna say that. Like that's the standard. That's not fair. You said 10 Commandments, and you said go, Jamie. Like when we're supposed to go?
I was supposed to get a bomb drop. I didn't get one. So
we're supposed to go.
Boom! I did it myself.
Yeah.
Get that man a soundboard.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I got you, Robert.
Yeah. Let's keep it simple. Who did that?
Oh no, man. It's all good.
That was not me.
What you got, Jamie?
Proto.
What you got, Jamie?
I'll go with Lost in Translation.
Thank you, darling. Listen,
wait. Did you go? That was your answer?
No, because I was really gonna say the 10 Commandments because it's really that to me.
Okay.
Yeah, he said it, and then it was like, oh, well. I mean, we're gonna keep it simple. It's 10
Jamie,
things,
just say
right?
the Beatitudes then. The Beatitudes.
Or we can say the fruits of the spirit.
There we
or
go.
We can even say, love thy neighbor as you want to love yourself.
There you go.
There you go. That we can do that.
Lost, what's up?
Yeah.
You know what? Conservative values is order. You know, God is not the author of confusion. You know what I'm saying? And the rules give us a boundary and a place for us to operate and for everybody to understand. As long as you reach some type of understanding, there'll always be some kind of order. It'll be the same way if I was married. My wife would not be allowed to have a boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? No, sir, that's not how that works. You cannot have a boyfriend, you know? And a lot of times when people want to sit up here and say, you know, I'm a liberal or whatever, and the minute you introduce something like that, they'll be like, nah, I don't really go for that. And you have to ask them, are you really a liberal? You know, I mean, let's think about that for a minute. But the simple answer is order. You know, being a conservative is order. And it's an understanding of having the rules and abiding by the rules so everybody can reach an agreement. And everybody knows what to expect. And I'm going to go with Dwayne next because I know he had his finger up, man.
No, I appreciate it. I love that order. I was thinking discipline and self-control and personal responsibility. I'll throw a couple in there, and I'll go with Proto on this
one. I see conservative values as elitist. How do I keep my money hungry? That's what I look at when somebody say conservative to me. I'm like, oh, you stingy. That's what I see. I see stingy, elitist. I don't see all this Christian stuff y'all talking about. I see very, very rude. I see snobby. I see, that's what I see. So, we'll go with Renee.
Oh, this is about to be good. Go ahead, Renee.
I believe conservative values are Christian traditional family values. Everybody took everything else, so that's the only thing like I have left.
What's your thoughts on what Proto said? He said that he sees it as elitist and stingy.
I mean, I can see where he got that from, but we can agree to disagree.
Where he get it from, though? Like, what you mean? Explain. You can see where he get it from, like
because, like, so I'm looking it up, and it does have something about like economic and pro business and all this stuff. So, like, if you are a person that's inside it, I can see where you can get stingy from.
Oh, okay.
Because they about making money.
Oh, okay. So
if you're looking at some of the things that they are for, that's one of the things they're for, and that can be interpreted as being stingy. Because in order to make money, you got to keep it. You can't give it away.
Interesting. Hey, Lost, you say you got something you wanted to say?
Oh,
Scrooge McDucks.
Listen,
Scrooge McDucks.
Oh. I'm gonna let you know a little secret. Conservatives are not stingy. They're just judicious with what they do. I'll give an example in the Bible. It says, "Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, for there may be meat in my house." Basically, what that's saying is that we definitely want to set aside a portion of what we make for the poor. You see what I'm saying? In the Bible, they used to, take a portion of the field or whatever, and they would leave it out for the poor. So that way you still are being conservative and still looking out for other people. So whenever somebody says they're being conservative, that just means that you think you have an entitlement to what somebody has without you asking them for it. So I think that's normally what happens when liberals view conservatives as stingy. But that's not what conservatives are. Conservatives are making sure that there's enough for everyone, and also still be rewarded for the work that you produce.
Okay. Dwayne, you had something you wanted to say?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
You know what? I like it. Well, no, actually, no, Robert. Have you went yet?
10 Commandments, Doc.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Good. Stingy. Man, you know what? This is one of the ones that get me. I get on the airplane and it says, in case of emergency, make sure you put your mask on first and then help the person next to you. And I was like, the next time I go on an airplane, I'm like, nah. I'm not going to be stingy and worry about myself first, because Prototype said that's stingy. And then I was like, no, that ain't going to work. That's a principle, and it's set for a reason. Whenever Donald Trump comes forth and he says, America first, I could respect that. Whenever you were saying as for stingy, I was like, hey, hold on, I'm getting there. The crock pot's on. Whenever he says that, it's the same thing. I was like, stingy. And I'm like, wait a minute. I do care about my house before I care about my neighbor's house. Before. And it's very important for me to make sure that my house is in order before I go worried about anybody else's house. And that's very, very, very important. So whenever most people look at it as stingy, no, it's also, was it Robert saying these are biblical principles? It's the same thing. It says even whenever you criticize somebody, hey, before you go off talking about your neighbor, make sure you got your stuff in order. Make sure you got the beam or the speck out of your eye before you go correcting somebody else. So in the same way, self-care is an important thing before you can care about other people. So from an economic standpoint, from stingy, whenever as for a business owner, keeping it for himself, guess what? He has to pay his employees. You work for somebody, Prototype? Okay, guess what? That person has more than you. And guess what? He's not stingy or she's not stingy. They are passing down based upon the work in which you produce. So once you're able to produce something, guess what? You're going to get paid. And that's the beautiful thing about America. You work hard, guess what? You're going to get what's due to you. That's how I look at it.
You know,
okay, Robert.
You know, one thing that just came to my mind when you was talking, Dwayne, is my dad is extremely conservative. And I actually think he's scary. Like, he don't do nothing. If the speed limit 55, he driving 53. You know what I mean? If they said it don't matter what it is, he's gonna do 2 notches below. He's very conservative, but I'd also say that he's a guy that takes thought for tomorrow. You know, and you know, and I understand, you know, when they say take no thought for tomorrow, we're talking about worrying, but ain't nothing wrong with having a plan. You know what I mean? And ain't nothing wrong with having a backup plan. And it ain't nothing wrong with having friends with resources just in case both of your plans don't work. You know what I mean? And so a conservative person, you know, they have an idea, they have strategy, they got smart friends. And then they, like I said in the beginning, they come in the house before 9 o'clock because ain't nothing open after 11 o'clock but legs in the hospital. Okay? And I don't want no problem.
Whataburger.
That,
and 7-Eleven.
They don't cook their meat all the way. They don't cook.
One
of my friends got salmonella from this. No, I'm just joking. All right, so no, for real, like conservative though, like, and so to really get some context out of it, I really think that taking away from or extracting the word stingy and just saying a person that's thoughtful for themselves, thoughtful for people that's around them, thoughtful for their legacy, thoughtful for anything that's connected to them, thoughtful about their reputation. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say too much because I don't want nobody to take me the wrong way. I'm not going to do too much because I don't want, you know what I'm saying? A conservative person is a person that has a stream of consciousness, that's socially aware, that's self-aware, and they just have a way to place themselves in situations where they don't draw too much and not enough attention all at the same time. That's all I was going to say.
So why is conservative considered racist?
Ooh.
Man, let's keep it real, man. If it wasn't if it wasn't for the liberal black people still be slaves, you wouldn't have no wiggle room to even be conservative. It's the liberals that gave us the wiggle room to be married to actually act conservative. So you know, or it's the liberals that gave us that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the fact that y'all going off the rails about conservative this and that, and y'all hating on liberals like that. Without that extremists on the other side, we wouldn't have the freedoms we got to be us. in our conservative manner. You know what I'm saying? Like black people shouldn't be conservative or liberal. We just got to understand we can move between the two and get it how we do. You know what I'm saying? But y'all tripping.
So
Jamie, what you got? Wait. I want Jamie in. I want Jamie.
Go ahead, Jamie. What do you think?
Oh, I didn't have nothing to say. I was taken aback that he went off like that. Like, I'm just still here like, oh, okay, because like you feel some type of way about conservative people. Why?
No.
Why do you hate us so bad? Like, why do you hate us like that? Like, why does us having a standard bother you so much, Prototype? Like, why? You feel me? Like, what did we do to you?
Dwayne, I need you to have my back on this one. I don't have a long point, but I want us to,
listen. How did black people get into baseball?
So I ain't even answering that.
How did black people get into baseball?
I'm about to answer that.
It was a liberal that was like, you know what? Let me get this one black guy into baseball. Oh, this actually works. Now black people can play baseball.
So I don't want us. Dwayne, have my back, dude.
No, this is This is transitioning into where I'm going to get to, though, right? So because this is a part of the dialogue, right? So let me chime in real quick. What he's trying to say, right? Based on what he's seeing that there was a liberal person. You're saying they were white? Is that correct, Proto?
White liberal that was like, hey. Maybe we should try to get black people into baseball. Let's find one.
Bet, right? So do you know who that was? I got you lost.
I can't remember his name.
I bet if you get a chance, I would like to definitely find out who that is. Now, if you would go even further back than baseball, Prototype, and you went back to slavery before we was playing baseball, right? You would see that it was conservatives that saw it as inhumane, and then some people would even go check. I thought the same thing you thought until I went to go check, right? So what ends up happening is that it was almost like a religious thing to some degree, that they were saying that it's not okay for us to treat these people like that, right? Treat black people like that. That was the conservative. You can go check it out. I kid you not, right? And so then what ends up happening, you had that civil war, right, between the North and the South. You're familiar with that, Proto?
Give him a history lesson, sir. Let's go, sir. Work the text, sir.
So if you're unaware, the North was like, listen, we want them to be free, and the South was like, no, we want to keep them slaves. And the liberals connected to the Democratic Party were the ones that wanted the slaves down in the South, and in the North, it was conservative. You can go check all of this out, and then you can. Matter of fact, you can go look up a dude that most black people don't know. His name is Thomas Sowell. You need to go get him something in your life, okay? And so, nevertheless, what happened was they began to talk about, when we did become free, right, and we began to make a name for ourselves. Like there was senators and black people in the Congress, my dude, because of the conservatives saying that this would be okay, it would be good. But then when they saw black people doing well, the liberals was like, we got to take this down. If you go look and find out the Freedmen Bank, you heard of the Freedmen Bank?
Yes.
Prototype. Okay, Freedmen Bank was taken down by liberals. And that's when all the black people came together to have their money and things of that nature. Then you fast forward through the Jim Crow era. That's one of the times that we was one of the tightest communities in America, right? Because of conservatism, the black people were conservative, meaning that they thought that family was most important and for us to stay together as a unit. And then Martin Luther King, he was like, you know what? We're not treated equally. He thought his plan was he misdiagnosed his plan of what it would do in long term. Okay. And so even Martin Luther King was conservative at that particular point in time. Right. So as far as the baseball, it may have been a liberal person to do that, but the history shows that liberals have been against black people specifically.
History shows me that it was always about money. And
oh yeah.
So regardless if it was conservatives at what time. Look, I don't know I don't believe everything you just said. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
The fact that the North didn't like slavery in the South because the South was, was prospering more than they were because of the free labor.
We can go with that. That's cool.
Nope. Not true.
That
but
is true.
I'm not saying that, Dwayne. We're not talking about true. That we talking about.
I mean, but that's you know what I'm saying. You're not even American, bro. So you don't know. But it's,
I have a brain.
But no,
the beautiful thing about it, I
wow.
don't have to be American just to have a brain.
No, it was all about bread. So that's why the South was like, it's the same reason why South America is a third world country at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because they was driven off of slave power and didn't want to industrialize. You know what I'm saying? And America industrialized and became a higher power. You know what I'm saying? But it's the same thing that between the South and the North. Like, we got slave power. We want to keep our free labor. You know what I'm saying? This is how we're eating. We're producing more dollar than you guys. We can split from y'all. We don't need y'all economically. You know what I'm saying? So that's why slavery became banned for real. So, I mean, call it how you want, man, but it's always about bread. We don't got no business being conservative or liberal, like I said earlier. So
that's a very fair statement. Dwayne, what you got?
No, I'll give the floor to Lost.
Here's the thing, man. A lot of times we don't have a grasp of what conservative tenets are. One of the tenets of conservatives is being a free market value. You know what I'm saying? And being able to do what you need to do in the market. Now, I'll give you an example. Prototype said earlier that it was a liberal that gave, the baseball player the first person to play baseball, a black person play baseball. I would say it would be a conservative, because that conservative was the person who wanted to get an advantage. If you see that you have an athlete that can actually beat your other athletes and you can win more games and put more butts in the seats, then yes, that's probably what really opened the door for black athletes. You see what I'm saying? It's the very reason why it maintains the financial structure of a country. It's the main reason why we don't pay $20 for a loaf of bread, because we only have one company that makes bread. You know what I'm saying? Competition breeds value for the customers. So in this particular situation, when you have people who are conservative and let the market handle its situation, where it actually creates competition that actually drives down the price of goods and services, which is actually in essence good for everyone, because you'll have more money to spend in other places and you'll have more time to be more inventive. Humble Dad, earlier you talked about having people freed the slaves. Well, people don't realize that there was a major invention boom that happened right after slavery, when a lot of blacks got patents for being very inventive. You see what I'm saying? They're coming up with different things. It was like an explosion of wisdom and knowledge that came out of nowhere, that some of this stuff we still use to this day. And that's all due to being a conservative, because you're allowing the market to dictate the services that are provided to the people, and also a structure, and you also rewarding those for coming up with those ideas. So I think what people need to realize, that being a conservative, they look at the money aspect, but actually it's really not about the money, it's about the principle. Let me tell you how my mom actually broke down being a conservative and a liberal for me. She told me when I was a kid the story of the ant and the grasshopper. You know what I'm saying? And then what happened was the ant and the grasshopper, winter was coming. So the ant would diligently work and store up food and set that stuff aside for when winter comes, he'll be able to last. Well, what happened was the grasshopper went out and played and had a good time. You know what I'm saying? Didn't put nothing up. And what happened was when winter came, the ant always had something stored up, but the grasshopper didn't, and the grasshopper died. So that's the story that my mom painted in my brain, my childlike brain at the time. The difference between being a liberal and a conservative.
This is really interesting, right?
Let me jump in real quick, if you don't mind, Humble Dad.
Oh, not at all. Go ahead.
Forgive me. So, a gentleman at work turned me on to this book by David Pink called Drive. And there is three, they use the AMP as the acronym, and it's autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And as he was explaining this to me, and we were talking about work, and as for relating to work and having a good work environment, and he's one of the best managers at the company I work at, and he told me why it was that he does what he does and how he does what he does. He gives his people autonomy. He gives people mastery, allows them to master anything that they want to do in order to do their job well. And then he gives them a purpose, or allows them to give themselves purpose. So I thought that was beautiful. The reason is because it ties into my study, appreciate your prototype, of American history. And in my studying of American history, Alexis de Tocqueville came to America. He was from France, came to America, and he examined the difference between the North and the South. And I found it fascinating, prototype, that you said that it was based off of finances. I'd agree with you, except for the North was more industrialized than the South. And the reason why is because AMP, autonomy, mastery, and purpose. The lack of autonomy does not lead to innovation. The lack of mastery does not lead to innovation. The lack of purpose does not lead to innovation. So without those three things, you will stay stagnant. And here's how it stays stagnant. The slaves, they did not have autonomy, they did not have mastery, and they did not have a purpose. Therefore, when they worked, they weren't working for anything. So did they put their best effort for it? No, they did not. So whenever it came to what HD said about whenever slavery was over, you had a boom in this. Why? Because guess what? They were free to express their autonomy. They were free to have express their mastery at whatever it may be. They were free to have a purpose. Now, going to the same thing for the slave masters, they also did not have a drive, because guess what? The autonomy in which they had was to conquer another person. That's not much autonomy at all. The next, as for mastery, all they had to do was to master over their slaves, right? That's not mastering anything as from a life purpose. And then as for the purpose, they had no purpose except for what you were talking about as for gaining money. And back to Robert's point about it's biblical. The love of money is the root of all evil. So because of that drive and as for that money, that's what they were building up for. That's what they were building up for. In the North, you were able to be free. Whether you were black, whether you were white, you were free. And as for that freedom, again, autonomy, mastery, and purpose, that leads to innovation. So from my standpoint, whenever it comes to as for with money is important. But how about making money for your family? And in the South, Black people did not have that ability to make money for their family as the way that the white folks did. And I also want to, from a historical standpoint, with my Jamaican tale, all right? In America, as for with slavery, it's a beautiful thing whenever you realize it did not take Black people freeing Black people. It took white folks alongside of Black folks to free Black folks. And the reason why I say it, and I say it like that, because Christianity ain't for no color. Christianity is for human beings, period, that want to be free. So there's a group that wants to oppress, and they don't care what color you are. They want to oppress you in any way, shape, or form. Christianity liberates you. And last thing, the slave masters did not want you to be able to read. Why? Because if you're able to read 2 documents, you would realize that you're free. If you were able to read the Bible, you would know that you're spiritually free. If you were able to read the Constitution, that would tell you that you also are able to be physically free. That's why they did not want you to read. And those people today are the modern day Democrats. Your Confederates in the South are today's modern day Democrat. They want to convince you that there is some kind of switch of the party, a big switch. There was no switch.
Hello? Man. Ooh, you dropping bombs? Hey, can y'all hear me?
Oh yes, we had to let that thing breathe, man.
It was so quiet,
Hey.
but I didn't know. All right, now this when I put in the back chat, I went to go research what Prototype was talking about, and I said it was a guy by the name of Branch Rickey. He's the White Dodgers executive who signed Jackie Robinson to a contract and became his mentor. Was a Republican who believed in racial equality. All I did was copy and paste what it said when I Googled it. And then I don't even like Google. I don't use Google, but I use GoDuckGo. But nevertheless, if you just look up his name and just type Branch Rickey was a Democrat or Republican, and all his stuff comes up, and it's all connected to him being a Christian and a conservative at that, right? And so what you said, Prototype, was that was liberal thinking, right? And so what that made me understand when you said that is that based on the terminology, the word liberal means freedom, right? And it means to have an open mind. Is that fair to say, Proto? Okay, gotcha. Okay. Now, so I'm glad that you said that so I can understand where your perspective is, right? And it is an outside of the box thought process. So let me connect it to the thing about what's going on right now is words are being redefined. So, for example, I'll even take you back to when Bush put in play No Child Left Behind. You remember that, Proto? Everybody on the panel remember that? No Child Left Behind. And me being in education, everybody thought that was a good thing, right? And he's a Republican, right? But he put on the docket that no child should be left behind. And Renee, she can connect to this too, since she's in these streets out here, right? That it really was a play on words and not a way to help kids. What it meant for teachers is that, for example, in some school districts, you cannot have more than 15% of your students fail your class, even if they didn't. 10%. Oh, now it's 10%, even if they didn't do their work. Okay. They've also came up with either you can't give homework, or if they do get homework, then you can't give them anything lower than a 50. Right. Then they came up in Texas to pass math. It's now this year it's like a 25, and what they say on the paper, it'll say approaches grade level. However, approaches grade levels means that you pass the class, even though the lowest grade they can make is a 25, in between 25 and 50. So what I'm going back to say is that liberal is a play on words in which you see now. It is true that it was a outside the box thinking. That's very true. But it was connected to the Republicans seeing this particular guy, Branch Rickey, looking at it from a biblical perspective of saying we are all the same. So why can't a black person play in our league if he's good? Right? And when he got into the league, the racial divide was mostly from the Democratic side. Right. And so that's what I'm saying. There's been a play on words as it relates to liberal. And it's unfortunate. It's connected to what we have in this world today, is that if we can change how the word looks, and when we're talking about it, then people will be able to suggest something different. Right. So I want to ask this question. How can, or in this case, my question is, has the nomination of Kamala Harris increased the gender war? Because it seems to be a conversation that is not able to, like, we on this platform able to have a really good dialogue, and you know what I'm saying, whether we and it's good that we have opposing views so we can walk and talk through them, right? But I don't see that this happens on a regular basis enough, and I'm glad that y'all chime in with me. So Renee, I would like to come to you first. Has the nomination of Kamala Harris increased the gender war? What's your thoughts?
I'm going to say yes. And I'm just going based on my timeline on social media. We already, before all of this, men and women are going against each other on who does what does who. And now since she's been nominated, it has been an increase on, women can't lead men and women can't do this and women are not supposed to do this. And then you're only supposed to do this, like we're supposed to be stuck in one box. So I'm going to say yes. And I just want to say we all need each other. Men need women and women need men. And Mr. Robert, I'm going to go with you next.
That's what's up. I agree with you. I think it has increased the gender war, but I think it increased the gender war from a miseducation standpoint. And I say that because just because Kamala Harris has been nominated, it's almost like women see themselves as Kamala Harris. And instead of looking at her qualifications or her resume, so to speak, the women I've talked to see themselves as her, and they don't even meet, echelon. You know what I mean? So it's increased the gender war because it's given. I love the opportunity at equality, and I'm not really opposed to a woman leading or a man leading. I just want the right person to lead. That's the first thing for me. But more importantly, I don't want it to turn into one thing I said before, and I kind of had to kind of correct myself a long time ago is, at the time when Michelle Obama was even talking about possibly running, I was like, man, this makes me feel like my daughter can do it, and that's a good thought, right? But in actuality, putting that in her head that she can do it was prefaced around just because she was a woman, not because she was qualified. And I think the gender war has been complicated because it's allowed women to kind of say, it kind of speaks to that entitlement more than that empowerment. Because a woman did it, now I can do it. But it's not so much I can do it because I'm qualified, but it's just because I'm a woman. Because, I remember that song, I'm Every Woman, when Whitney Houston came out with that. And it's kind of like, it has to apply where it fits, And so I think it's increased the gender war because men don't know how to really communicate that they just want an effective leader regardless. And women think that they're qualified to do it just because they saw someone that looked like them do it, which is why I always say gender indifferent, race indifferent. I'm not voting for somebody just because they look like me if they're not qualified. I'm not voting for someone just so that I can put my daughter in office at one point or if she's not qualified, just like I didn't want to put no black man in office just because he was a brother, And so I just think there has been a continental divide from the brain perspective in terms of empowerment. In terms of entitlement versus empowerment. Dwayne, what you got, man? You muted, Doc.
Monster got you, brother.
You muted, Doc.
Thank you.
Bro, listen.
I was double muted. I had to zip it. I'm very vocal.
How are you that consistent at not being able to put?
I'm like 1 for 4 right now. I'm 1 for 4 right now. Okay?
There's been one show that I can remember in the shows that we've done that you were consistent at coming off the mute button. Like I don't understand.
Just do me a favor. Just pray for me, okay? Just pray.
You know what, Dwayne? As long as you keep dropping them balls, it's all right. You can keep missing that mute button.
I appreciate it. HD, if you could give me the liberty, I would like to do a survey.
Liberal.
I'd like to do a quick survey by the show of hands. Who believes that what Martin Luther King said about judging a person by the content of their character rather than the color of their skin is potent as like very vital for society? Just by show of hands.
You said vital for society? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And we and I thought it was true. Vital for society and true. I thought that, right? And I've been believing it. Being from Jamaica and all, Proto, I believed it. Now, what I'm impressed by is how in such a short span of time we have been able to blind ourselves to that truth. And the reason why I'm saying that is now we're, and I'm also then flip that question. As for gender war, it's more of an identity politics in which we're playing against amongst ourselves. So it moves itself from not just being gender, which is one item, to being many items. As for identity politics, so for me, has there been an increase in identity politics or the war on identity in politics? Absolutely. Absolutely. And is that a good thing? Absolutely not. And that's the whole purpose of this whole DEI movement, right? It's not whether you're qualified or not, it's whether you check a box. So in our excitement of reaching this goal of first this or first that, what are we doing? We're foregoing the best qualified candidate. And I'll put it to you like this. As a conservative who leans more Republican, I look at the Democrats and I'm like, man, y'all messed up. Y'all messed up, because whenever they even pick Kamala Harris, y'all have way more qualified candidates who would have put up a much better fight. I want to see a fight. And in the fight, what I'm speaking of is for the best ideas. A fight for the best ideas. Because guess what? At the end of the day, it's going to race to the top, and we're just raising the standard. And in my opinion, because we're just looking to check the box, the standard is getting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. So in this war, y'all all lose. We all lose.
Who you got going next, boss? Prototype on you.
Prototype. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
So I'm like, I mean, you kind of clarified it, but I'm like, why do you care who they pick if your guy's the winner? You know what I'm saying? If your guy's going to win, you know what I'm saying? But I guess it does it presses the ideas maybe, but you know what I'm saying? But he got a plan and he's going to do what he's going to do anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest, I don't think she got a shot in hell, but I mean, it is what it is. I'm not a fan of her, but I'm just so confused on why y'all even care who the Democrats is picking if y'all believe in y'all guy so much.
Before we go, no. Before we go there, my question is: has the nomination of Kamala Harris increased the gender war? And then I think that Dwayne was trying to say that the reason why it has is because they've chosen to pick her because of her skin color, as opposed to picking the most qualified, and that's typically how men rock anyway. I
think social media wise, yes, right? Because like I said, I didn't think she had a shot in hell. But I tagged you to the post. I asked, anecdotally, my Facebook friends, right? I was like, hey, is anybody even voting for this lady? Like, is there any men voting for Kamala Harris? And plenty of them stood out, right? And I'm just sitting there looking at the data and figuring out I know these people personally, so I'm like, who these people are, and I was like, oh, that makes sense on why. A lot of people well, I guess y'all Gen Xers, a lot of them still are very attached to racism. You know what I'm saying? So they still have them racism, the scars of racism. You know what I'm saying? Which millennials and Gen X, Z? Who's after millennials? I think it's Z, whatever. But millennials and like we kind of like let them racist things kind of disperse a little bit. It's not as heavy as a Gen Xer might feel it or a boomer would feel those racial things. So it's like, I don't know where y'all come from at this point, but I know where I come from. We've all dealt with heavy segregation or racism or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So the idea of going over there, like I said, I think most Black people or Democrats, just because we understand we need some wiggle room just so we can be who we need to be. Not necessarily that we want to be like them, but if they don't have their space, we definitely don't have ours. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, social media wise, yes, I think it has increased the gender war thing, right? Anecdotally, I see a lot of men, saying I'm with her, which I'm necessarily confused about, but it always ties back to
I'm interrupting.
How they feel about racism.
Okay, so you said that you're confused by why they would. And so you're agree. So do you believe that they're doing that because she is identifying as black?
No, they're doing it because they don't like. They think the other side is extreme racism.
Oh, okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's not like they're a fan of her or not. It's that the other side is extreme racism. So that's what I'm saying. It's basically like, well, we need our wiggle room to move, maneuver, to be whole. You know what I'm saying? And if we press the needle that way, we really don't get no space. Yeah. But if she's in office, then at least we can still be who we are. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how.
What do they mean by be who we are? Because I know the commercial. Bear with me, people. I apologize. I'm very intrigued.
I'm not talking. I'm talking about black people. I'm not talking about anything wild.
Yeah. I'm curious to know from what it is, because I went to try to find the clip, and the stream. I couldn't find it, so if you can tag me again, I definitely want to look and see what's going on, because I've been in other Facebook groups too, and I've seen the same thing, prototype. And so when I press the issue of like, okay, so then what has she done, right? Because I'm confused too. Right. So it's not a matter of what she's done. It's more so like we feel like the other side is racist. Right. And it's interesting to me that they don't see that both sides have racist tendencies. One is able to show it in a different regard. Right. Because I'm not necessarily for Republicans or Democrats, but I lean more Republican just because of my conservative values. Right. And I would rather be somewhere a lot more towards the conservative party, right? And I think that both parties are people not necessarily really educated on either person to most of the degrees that I am and people that I talk to, right? I mean, because Trump has said some really crazy things, right? But so has Kamala, right? But then nobody goes and checks and sees what Trump did. I ain't gonna say nobody. That's a broad spectrum. I apologize, but most people do not go see what Trump has done, and then most people don't go see what Kamala has done. So you know what I did? Being the scholar that I am, I went to go find out a little bit more about Kamala. Even though I know that I don't rock with her position on women's rights. Okay. Now, I believe in women's rights, but not in the reproductive position that she holds, if you feel what I'm saying, right? So what I found, I don't know if y'all know this, but she brought to the floor 80 bills. Did y'all know that? When she was in Senate. For those that don't know, she brought 80. You know how many she got to pass? 1. Okay. She had the fewest amount of people in when she did the 80. You can go look at it. I had posted it somewhere. If you go look at the 80 that she's done, very few people in her own party said, yes, we like this bill. And some of the bills were pretty decent. And that's me telling you, and I don't even like her like that. But some of the bills were pretty decent, right? She's also known as the most liberal candidate that has ever been put on the planet. And what that means, prototype and everybody else that's, that word liberal, is that she's for whatever. Okay. There is no particular structure in which she leans to. So, and then if you go check out Trump, it is mainly about, for him, it's about the economy. How can I get money back in people's pockets? Right. And he may lean more toward the business owner. Why? Because if you go look at the studies, any one of them, if you look at small businesses, they are the ones that control and help operate what we call America. If the small business owners go out of business, then you have a lot of people unemployed, is what I'm communicating to you. So please go do your homework and don't operate based on an emotion, but go operate on some sense of common sense, right? So I think everybody got to go. Is that right on this one? No, Jamie, go. My bad, Jamie.
So I was going to say that they gave us about 4 good days of Black people being on one accord on we were going to vote conservatives. It's serious. This was Black and women. Like we were on the same understanding. There was videos popping up from hood people saying that they were getting ready to vote not Democrat because something ain't right. And then 2 things happened. The lady got shot. And then they said Kamala Harris got shot, not just shot, but shot by a white police officer, which was a trigger. That was trigger. And then the solution to the trigger was Biden, you're going to remove yourself and we're going to put a Black woman that helped you win. Because if y'all remember, there was the Pearls and Chucks movement that helped Biden get into office. It was Black women, that whole sector of women, the ones right now that have just made, how much money did they raise? Almost 80 million? Is it for her?
81 million allegedly.
One source said 100 million last week. Yeah.
Where they came together just to make sure that the votes put Biden in office. So that's why they knew what they were doing with this power play. Because see, once Trump had gotten that assassination attempt, we were all like, oh wait, maybe we need to listen to him, right? Like we all sat back and we were like, hold on, something not right. We all woke up for a minute. And then they lulled us right back to sleep with the same triggers. And so, and then now we're at war. Because if you talk to a Black woman, she's like, we got to do this for the greater good. What greater good? What greater good? The woman sat on an interview and said, I will never do a policy just for Black people, but I'd sign one for some Asians. But it just wouldn't be right if I did it for Black people only. Does that sound right to you? What I'll do is I'll do it for everybody. But I could sign other bills for Indians. I could sign other bills for other races because that's the right thing to do, specifically with their name, with their race on it. But if you want to do it for a Black person, for some reason that just don't sound right in their spirit, which don't make no sense, right? So, it really broke my heart. Do I think it increased to genuine war? Yes. Like we are fully on divided at this point. But for 4 days, I counted, you know what I'm saying? For 4 good consecutive days, we were literally, it was scary to them because what it brought back to my remembrance is when the civil rights movement was at its peak, it was because we were unified in the common goal of we wanted to be treated like humans. And the family power structure was dangerous, right? Especially the Black unified family structure. And although we still have single parents, single mamas, and for the first time we stopped arguing about that. And we were like, this is why we should vote like this. And we were actually a community again for 4 whole days, for 4 of the most beautiful days that I thoroughly enjoyed until that woman got shot, and God rest her soul. But that, and then they put, no, for real. As soon as that happened, I said, oh my God, here we go. Boom. It's perfect power play. And that's just how politics works, right?
Yeah.
Order out of chaos.
Yeah. Thank you for your take. I think it's very unfortunate because the conversation is not about why I think she's better. The conversation is she's Black and he's a racist. And if he is, then that's a cause for a conversation. I mean, he just said, Christians, listen, y'all should vote for me because y'all won't have to worry about nothing after that, right? I didn't see the full clip, but I was like, okay, I know. I only saw it because D1 posted it, right? And I typically go look at the whole clip, right? The goal is power. The goal is to maintain power. The goal is to make sure the way that they get power is for there to be division, right? And so I would say they're doing a phenomenal job, right? I liken it to I got you. My bad, lost. Yeah, I liken it to Hitler because Hitler had a phenomenal game plan and he executed it well, right? And to the detriment of lives that didn't have to be lost. On you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I didn't even do that on purpose, but that was so dope.
Right. Listen, check this out, man. If we want a more accurate question, it says, has the nomination of Kamala Harris increased the gender war? I would actually have to move the timetable back to COVID. Okay. And I think COVID really shone a light on a lot of the foolishness that preceded leading up to that point. Now, if you look at before and after KS, I think what happened was guys started to realize, we don't have to take none of this stuff. Okay. Now, I look at it this way. It really boils down to a pathology between people. There is a chart that I remember watching where they were talking about how politically divided men and women were based upon country, based upon race or whatever. So between black people, it was the widest. It was like black women are more liberal, but black men were leaning more conservative. Well, it all goes back to pathology. Think about it. When most men grow up, they usually play some type of form of sports. You know what I mean? And we had to compete. You know what I mean? So you had to work together, you had to compete, that type of thing. And then after that, we already know who was the winner. But if you look at most women, their pathology is a little bit different. They're told that they're princesses and a man should do this and a man should do that. And it's what a man can give them. Well, in this particular situation, I remember what Jamie said a minute ago. She said that Kamala Harris actually helped Joe Biden get into office. I think it was more of a stick-up kid thing. They said either you nominate a black woman, which they never gave a name. They said, we don't care who it is. As long as it's a black woman, you better get down or lay down. That's what they told Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying? And then if you go back and you watch the debate between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, Joe was putting the wood on her. You know what I'm saying? And then Kamala was going back and saying, well, Joe, you didn't do this. If you get a chance, y'all go back and watch that debate, and you'll get a real honest answer of what they really think about each other. Because Joe really didn't want her to be honest. But Joe had to play the game to keep going to get done what he needed to get done. And that's not the first time that's ever happened. There's been other situations where in the Republican Party, they told some of these other presidents, hey, you're going to have to take so-and-so as your vice president. Like Bush the first, they told him, you're going to have to take Bob Dole. Bush didn't like Bob Dole for real. They pushed him on him. But if we don't do our research, then we would know. So I think that to answer the question, did the gender war spark this thing? I think it happened a little bit earlier, but I think what happens is the pathology of men have wised up to a lot of the games that some of these women play. And what happens is they like, oh, okay, I see what it is. So they start to develop a more autonomy to their own thinking versus having to acquiesce to their woman. If you think about it, most guys are set up and say, well, I vote the way my wife vote. But these new guys, they don't want to hear all that. You know what I'm saying? They're going to vote their own best interests based upon what's good for them. And if you think about it, if you listen to Kamala Harris, now that these guys are listening and watching women with fresh eyes, she'll say, well, I'm the first black this, black that, and da-da-da-da-da. And at the same time, she never said that she was black. Anytime she's outside of mixed company, she'll say, I'm the first Indian. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You look like a sister. You went to a sister school. You know what I'm saying? You dressed up. You put on the sister costume when it came time for us to vote for you. You know what I'm saying? And most guys already know that's dishonest and that's cheating. And guys don't like cheaters. You see what I'm saying? It's not a part of the game. So what happens is that the pathology between men and women starts to speak to itself when we start adding politics on things and we start adding policy on top of things. When women see Kamala Harris, they see black girl magic. You know what I'm saying? That's what they see. They see themselves in her. But when men see Kamala Harris, it was like, she ain't being in. I'm like, what you doing? What you doing, player? You know, you're putting brothers in jail, you're hiding information. That reminded me of this skeezer I used to deal with who lied on me and sent her brothers after me saying that I put my hands on when I didn't. You know, it's those things that guys remember that says, you know what, I'm not voting for her because she has the same mentality of these women who are entitled. Entitlement and empowerment are two totally different things. And until we learn the difference, we'll always have a divide between the gender wars.
I got you, Dwayne. You got something last to say, and then we're gonna hit this last question. I got it, Proto.
Yes, absolutely, I do. You know, I'm gonna go back to what Jamie said earlier. You know, after she read off the definition, she said, "But they lying. But they lying." Where Ricky at? Somebody's lying, and I agree with you, Jamie. This is why. The Democrats didn't even choose her. In 2020, they had that black girl magic to choose from. She didn't even make it to the Democratic primaries. Who knew that? Who knew that Kamala Harris did not make it to the Democratic primaries? She didn't even make it there, meaning the Democrats themselves didn't pick black girl magic. Now again, they love the minority, right? Except for whenever it comes to voting for them. In this instance, I'm just saying, the women, they love the women, and she's not white, but they did not choose her in the Democratic primaries, in her own race. She didn't even make it to the finish line for the primaries. That's something. So I lost. It was like you said it was a stick up, and Joe didn't want her. It wasn't just Joe that didn't want her. It was the Democrats that didn't want her. Now, the beautiful thing about it, though, is guess what? They will use you and abuse you whenever they need you for a particular agenda. And what a particular junction we are at. And you notice, by the way, it wasn't after they tried to kill Trump that Joe Biden temptation slid out the way and Kamala Harris temptation slid in. That's just an observation.
And you know what, Dwayne? It's if you think about it, it's nefarious. Because the first time they told Joe, get down or lay down, you're gonna have to pick her because she's a black woman. And now they did the very same thing and said, hey, look, Joe, lay down or get down, and we're gonna slide her in. And they didn't even have an open convention to vote her in. She just picked up the phone and said, Joe said I was next. Can I get your support? They didn't even look around to see who did what. If I were a black woman, I would be offended. I would be offended because these people think that you're not good enough and we're just going to have to slide you in. You're not smart enough. You know what I'm saying? You're not bold enough. You're not creative enough. But you know, we can just go ahead and slide you in there and we can say you the first. Just do what we tell you to do when you get in office. You understand what I'm saying? But you know what? Most men know a sneak play when we see one. And they're not putting up with that. So Dwayne, you're absolutely correct. They did not like her, and a lot of people didn't like her. And that's the main reason why they didn't have an open convention for the Democratic nomination for the president of the United States of America. It's nefarious.
Man, this is insane. I'm looking at your post, Proto, and it is interesting on the post for sure, and why they say they're voting. And like you said, it's all connected to race. Most of the ones are not saying she's qualified, right? And she was in the Senate. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. All right, but nevertheless, that's what I was reading on. Like, this is the last question. Okay, we see Renee a little excited, so we, you know what I'm saying? She ain't talked in a minute. Renee, why you been so quiet?
I told you I ain't had no nap today.
Oh yeah, so you sleeping now because you had nothing but smoke for people in the back early.
And I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning to make it to the gym at 5.
Before we got on the show,
I did.
You was giving smoke to everybody.
I was, but I don't like to argue though, so I just
That's what you were doing.
But I'm trying to work on it. I'm working on it intentionally.
So when we go live, that's when you start working?
Yes. You
Girl,
gotta
we
be
need some
good in front
pushback.
of
Come on
company.
here. Come on here. We need some pushback. Tell us we're wrong.
Well, on this next question, I'm probably gonna give a lot because
let's go. Get it. Go.
So I do feel like two people that are in two different political parties can have a long-term relationship because we're two individuals that were brought up totally different. And some people were married 40 and 50 years. So if you can grow up with two different mindsets, surely you can grow up with two different political parties. You just have to be respectful within your marriage on what you believe and then get on some type of common ground on how y'all gonna raise y'all kids and nobody be disrespectful to the other person's thought process. And so yeah, I do think that can happen.
So you're saying you're basing that around them being able to come to a common understanding of what their ground rules are.
Right. So like you may have been raised in a loving, happy family, and your wife may have been raised in survival. That's two different ways of being raised, but at the same time, y'all are still married, and your outlook and her outlook is different because y'all were raised differently, but y'all come together in one household. So just because I think this way and you think that way political wise, that doesn't mean our household can't run smoothly. We just can't be in here arguing over, politics. You have your views and I have my views and we can discuss them. But when you start getting disrespectful, that's when it's like, okay, you out of pocket. Just like anything else.
Okay, like anything else. I apologize. I cut you off. You said just like anything else. What?
When it get disrespectful, that's when it's okay. Now you going too far. So we can all have disagreements. I might like red. You may like blue. It's not gonna change my favorite color. You like blue. I like red. So at the end of the day, we're just gonna make purple.
Oh. Okay, so
but neither one of us like purple though.
But you like red and I like blue.
But you don't get what you get, and I didn't get what I get. What's the point?
That happens. What we mix together.
That happens for sure. So you would be cool with your husband being a Trump supporter? Is what they call it? I mean,
I would be cool with whatever you want to be or whoever you want to support, as long as you don't try to push your agenda on me because I have my own mind. So don't try to convince me that I'm right and you wrong. I mean, that you're right and I'm wrong because I think differently than you. That's when we're going to have the problem, because if I think this and this is what I believe and you don't agree with it, that doesn't mean I'm wrong. I have my own mindset. Okay.
So if he says, if he is a Trump supporter, and he believes that in Republican or conservative values in that regard, would you say those are different? Would you say being conservative and versus being a Trump supporter, are they the same or different from your perspective?
I think they're different because I don't think all Republicans act like Trump.
Okay.
I don't know too many that do things that he does. So just because he's a Republican doesn't mean he's automatically a Trump person, so to speak.
I'm glad that you said that. I was just curious because from when I've talked to people, if I've said something in relation to Trump, it automatically says that I'm a Trump supporter, as opposed to I'm literally just trying to give you information. You feel me? Yeah.
And so even if I think that he's a bad, like you can have a person that's bad, has a bad character, but some things about this person with a bad character you can learn from. So you just take what you need and leave the rest. Learn how to separate the two. I don't have to agree with everything that you say. I don't have to agree with everything you believe in. But if you can give me a nugget or a gem that I can use to add to my tool belt, we winning. And then after that, I can just disregard the rest that doesn't apply to me. But when you start making personal and disrespectful attacks to me personally, then I gotta sit up and be like, nah, we're not gonna do that.
Okay. So last question. I'm gonna come to the panel. So the guy that you know, could he be a person that is not a man of God?
Nah, you're gonna have to believe in God. Now that's like a deal breaker. You're gonna have to believe in God.
But that's a different viewpoint.
Yeah, it is, but at the same, so then it's gonna be, if we had, well, I can't have any more kids anyway, but if we had kids, it's going to be like, now what are we going to teach our kids religious wise? So I'm going to say God, and there is no God. So now we're not on one accord in regards to the kids. So then the kids see that we're separated. And then they're like, who do I listen to, mama or daddy? Because I believe what I believe. He believe what he believe. We have to have some type of common ground in certain areas in life.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Who you got going next?
Lost in translation because he got a lot to say over there.
Thank you. Please, I was like, please pick me. Listen, you said, how can a two-party household coexist long-term? I would say absolutely not. And I'm going to tell you why. You have to have somebody who's going to be able to agree with you. And agreement makes movement. You know, you can't always have to take time out to talk to somebody and convince them to move. You see what I'm saying? I can't do that, man. I don't have time to do that. Here is the plan. This is what we agree on. Let's move forward. I've always learned this a long time ago. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. We cannot go in two different directions. We can't sit up here and say, well, you believe what you believe in, and we're going to raise kids, and who they going to listen to? They're going to listen to their daddy. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm plugged in to the Most High. You see what I'm saying? If she's plugged into me, then we're moving in the right direction. But
well,
as
he
far
says
as,
he don't believe in God. That's what he said.
well, like I said, God bless you if you decide you want to deal with somebody like that, but not me. You know what I'm saying? Not me. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to deal with a woman who don't see my eye to eye politically. I'm not going to deal with a woman who doesn't see eye to eye with me spiritually. And I sure as heck ain't going to deal with nobody who don't deal with me financially. You see what I'm saying? Those are rules that are in place for a reason. You see what I'm saying? So my whole thing is this: when people say, can they exist? The cute liberal answer is, oh, yes, everybody can respect everybody's blah, blah, blah. In practical reality, that does not work. If you've ever played football, and Prototype will attest to this, if you call a doggone running play and everybody decide they want to pass and you don't want to pass block and your quarterback get toe up, that's because everybody was not on the same page. That's the reason why you have to know the snap count. You have to know the formation. You have to know the down and distance and how much time is left on the clock. That is something that is agreed upon when we break the huddle. You see what I'm saying? You block this person, you block this person, you get open, we're going to score a touchdown. We all win. But if you decide you want to do something that's completely different and we lose, we all lose, not just you, not just me. And as far as this whole thing about people being disrespectful, we got to stop painting that narrative. I got to go ahead and break the fourth wall like Deadpool on this because that's my favorite movie. But my whole thing is this: don't paint the most negative picture just so you can prove your point. It's not necessary and it's not needed. Anytime we always bring up something as far as men wanting to lead or whatever, the first thing that most women want to say was, I don't want to lose control, and you're not going to beat me, and you're not going to take me out back, and blah, blah, blah. Most men don't want to do that. He picked you because he wants to love you. Now, if you don't want to listen to what he has to say, I suggest you go to someone else who's going to more acquiesce to the way you want to do things versus somebody else who already has a plan and agenda. Most men are just looking for somebody to agree with them so they can definitely make progress and move forward. That's the only thing that holds Black people back. It's fear and lack of knowledge, and that's it.
Lost, can I give you some pushback since y'all said I ain't say nothing? A lot of times when people get in disagreements, when it gets to a point,
first of all, I wasn't done yet.
I know, but I'm giving you some pushback, right?
No. First of all, I wasn't done yet. Second of all, about 2 weeks ago, I told you about sister girls interrupting people when people are talking. That's disrespectful. That's the second time I had to call you out on that. But as a courtesy and as a gentleman, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. You may go ahead and speak your piece.
Okay, thank you very much. So most people, when they get in disagreements, when they run out of things to try to convince you, they start getting disrespectful. And that's not just men and women. That's people in general. When they don't get their way, they start doing low blows. Well, that's why you X, Y, and Z. So I heard what you said about the extreme of getting beat on, but most people, when they get in arguments and they feel like they're losing, they start trying to attack like your character or something that they witnessed that you've gone through.
Well, let me offer you another solution. Here's the door. Let me tell you so. I run a 100% volunteer army over here. If you don't agree with what I got to say, there's the door. That's how it should be. I don't have time to convince you. I've already told you, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. I'm not going to convince you of nothing. Life will teach you the lessons that you're not willing to learn right now?
Who you got going next, Lance?
Let me get Dwayne because he over there grinning.
Damn. Well done, Lost. Well done. I like that. So I was of a different thought until you went, Lost. Because what came to mind was a house divided will not stand. A house divided will not stand. And I may mention this earlier, like whenever we were at each other, we both lose. And the way that I describe like the Republicans and the Democrats is like step parent, or not step parents, co-parenting. They're co-parenting. They're separated. And they're trying to win. And who loses in that? When there's no agreement, when there's that fight, the child loses all day, every day. All day, every day. So that's how I look at it. So how can two parties, a two-party house coexist long term? They have to be on the same page. They have to have an agenda that is coalescing around who they're serving. So we as Americans, we consent to be governed. And we don't say, well, we get to choose. But in that choice, the choice has became so polarized now. It's far over there or far over there. And in that, because it's become so polarized, like we're losing in the middle. We're losing. So in order for it, we got to get back to those true American values. And I'm gonna put this out there. I've never said that I would never vote for a Democrat. I would. I believe the last real Democrat that I could recollect was JFK. That's the last real Democrat. Now, ever since JFK, the Democratic Party has became more and more left. And we talk about when we hear about the far right. Far right. It's just based upon religious or religion or Christian values. That's what they call far right. But the far left, nobody really talks about the satanic piece of it, which is very, very important. Because if there's an opposite of Christianity, it's Satanism, it's devil worshiping. And that's where people don't really too much believe in that and look at that. Now, if you go and look at the Olympics and that ceremony, that opening ceremony, you realize that life imitates art, or art imitates life, however they put it. They're putting it right in front of our face. So if God really doesn't exist, why are they doing that? I'm gonna digress.
You got going,
Jamie.
I'm excited for this question because, like, that's why I had notes. So you put on there coexist, and like if I'm getting married, I really do take what the Bible says that the two flesh become one, right? It also says, can two walk together except for they agree? You feel me? And then, right? And then I had can a house divided stand? I have all of these sitting right here. And it also says in James 1:8, which was my favorite scripture, is a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, right? I don't want to coexist with my mate. I want to be one. When I become one with you, that means we're in thought process with our renewed minds in Christ on one accord. So I don't want to argue with you about who we're going to put in office because it's a we thing. It's a we thing. I take on your last name, right? I represent you. We represent each other. So when I leave the house, it's safe to say that I'm going to operate under this type of function because this is our household. When you go to vote and you go behind that pole by yourself and I go behind over here, I don't want to be like, well, I wonder what my husband's doing, or you know what, I'm going to just do this because this is how I feel. No matter how I feel, I became one with this man. And we are a unified front against the common problem. I don't want to coexist. I want to be one with whoever I'm with. And so, yes, when I told my son this, I said, son, I asked him, I said, do you think politics should matter in a relationship? And at first he said no. And I said, oh, son, no. Politics should matter.
She said, oh, no.
Yeah, because y'all last week, y'all talked about testing somebody and trying to figure out who they are. Do you want to know how you can really figure out how somebody is? Bring up politics and religion in your first conversation. You're going to see some agitation come. You're going to see a little attitude. You're going to see a shimmy. You're going to say, and that's all you need. That's all you need. You don't need nothing else. You just seen all the seasons in one conversation. Bring up those two subjects. And then there won't be no another date. You feel me? Like, I hope that you ate real good, but I will never call you again, ever. You feel me? Never talk to you again. We have nothing in common. And I'm not fighting with you in my house. Because I will go to the Lord on my husband. Like, my husband about to vote liberal. Lord, do you see this man? Do you see this man? You put this man with me. And he about to put us in danger. That's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm that dramatic. I will go tell God on you, right? And so we're not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna do it for, like, I know you got to do it when they make big financial decisions, and you know they have to do something stupid. Instead of going to the man and trying to tell him what to do, you go to the Lord. But I'm not trying to worry about that all the time. If we have the same renewed mind, you're gonna go to the Lord first before you make those type of decisions in the first place. You see what I'm saying? So I don't want to coexist with nobody. I want to be one, and I don't have to worry about it. Like, my man got it. My husband. Dope. You feel me? My husband over here, he got it. So he's good.
Go to the Lord on my man.
Yeah. Go to the Lord on my man. I'm telling. Quick.
I'm telling him I'm telling my daddy on you, my guy.
Talk to him in the dream, Lord.
Who you got going next?
Robert didn't go.
And Prototype had one.
Okay.
Neither one of them. Let's get it.
First of all, Jamie, you a snitch. That's the first thing.
Straight up.
I don't need nobody telling on me. I ain't no child. No. Real quick, man. I'm just gonna say, you can coexist until you can't, and you know that's just what it is. Because you know you Republican, you Democrat. Okay, cool. Until I start talking about whether you should keep your baby or not. We cool until we start until one of the kids turn up homosexual. Now I got a problem as you know what I'm saying. We good. You know, and so you can until you can't. You know, we good until, you know, we got a lady running for office, and I'm like, I don't think a woman should be it. That's not my opinion. But like, what if a man comes in the house and says that, and you don't even really want to vote for her, but because he said he don't think a woman should be a president, now y'all beefing. You know what I'm saying? So I think you can until you can't. And then there was one thought you said something about having your own thoughts. This I'm gonna tell you right now, all the men they're not co-signing with my thought. This is my own independent thought. Tell my old lady all the time, what you think is valid, but it ain't always relevant. And so, and I mean that to say, you know, we talk about he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtain favor. And I always like to tell people, you ain't the favor, but wisdom is. You ain't the favor, but vision is. You ain't the favor, but strategy is. You know what I mean? And so when we're together, you know, there are certain spaces where I'm not going to bed and we disagree. We're not agreeing to this. We are going to agree on this because I'm the type of person that we don't agree. I'm wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and be like, so you really didn't like that pizza? Like, you really didn't like that movie? Like, for real, hold on. You really think, you know what I'm saying, that we should be okay with this? I'm that kind of dude. I ain't going to snitch on you, but I am going to wake up in the middle of the night and be like, yo, so we really, you know what I'm saying? Nah. And so now we have to have a fight. Now we got a tug of war. Now we having gender wars, as we talked about earlier today. All because you say you want a man, but you don't want me to lead. We already don't agree. You know what I'm saying? So we can until we can't. I'm done. Prototype. What you got, Doc?
Ain't there somewhere in the Bible that you should mix like God and politics or something? I don't know. I look at this like sports and not religion. Like, you can't, I'm a Christian, you can't be a Muslim for sure. But politics, I mean, look, I like the Steelers, you like the Bengals or the Bills. Nah, I ain't gonna say the Bengals, nobody in the division. But if you like the Chargers or something like that, I'm not tripping. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good. Like,
how you change your options? My God. If you can.
He knew. He's right. He's right.
My bad. I'm wrong for interrupting, but
no, I mean, I'm just saying, like, no, if I'm a Steelers fan, I mean, if you like you can't like somebody in the division, then we might have a problem. But you like somebody outside of the division, we good. You know what I mean? So, no, I really like this. It really ain't that big of a deal for me. Like I said, it's not God for me. You know what I mean? God, there's a different frequency. That's a whole other thing. Politics, it is what it is, man. I mean, now when it comes to the local stuff, and we're trying to get some stuff done with schools, you know, I said that before. Like when it comes to local, you know, legislation and like that kind of stuff, this stuff is what we're going to experience on a day to day. But who becomes president? I don't know.
That's what's up. I appreciate your perspective, Proto. It's been real. It's been dope as always. And I appreciate y'all time because y'all could have been anywhere and y'all chose to hang out with your boy. Hey, don't forget to check out these people on all their platforms. Renee, where you be at?
On Instagram at Renee2Henry and Facebook Renee Henry.
That's a bit. Robert, on you.
IG, give me a second podcast. I'm making a comeback, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Had a good time tonight.
For sure. It's me, Jamie.
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Jamie Radiance Moorhead 7. So thank you guys. This was good. I had fun.
100. Dwayne.
Yeah.
Hey, DwayneJonesPhotography.com. Other than that, you can catch me on mute. The Humble Dad Show. Monday nights.
Wow.
You can catch me here on YouTube on Lost in Translation Podcast and also on Instagram and TikTok as well too. And Jamie, make sure you get something to eat, dog. You look like you're tired. I care about you. You know what I'm saying? I want you to eat. Go ahead, Prototype.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna just throw this out there real quick to Dwayne's comment. One thing about me, I'll never wear another man's name on any part of my body.
It ain't a name. It's MAGA.
I don't even wear people's jerseys. Like all the jerseys I have got Prototype on them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if y'all noticed that, but if you see me with a jersey on, it says Prototype. You know what I'm saying? I can't even wear another man's name on me at all. But yeah, man, Prototype Dad Tuesday, man, and tomorrow we're talking about how did black men come up with this elitist mindset? You know what I'm saying? So
Repeat that one more time. Repeat that one more time.
How did black men come up with this elitist mindset?
What time is that? Let them know.
9 p.m. Eastern time. So I guess if y'all Central is 8, and y'all can.
That's a bet.
That's a bet.
And you can catch me here, Humble Dad Podcast. It's been real. It's been fun. Appreciate y'all, man. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.
The boy is dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world.